Hello and a very warm welcome to the first of a series of interviews that we're going to do with some of the stars of the Mini Challenge eSeries. And a great pleasure to welcome Ryan Elliott into the studio today, the virtual studio that is. Everything's virtual, isn't it, about this race series? The studio, the commentary, the racing, the whole thing. Ryan, really good to see you and thanks for joining us this morning on this. And what a fantastic start you've made. We've had two events so far. And you've had two podia, and I think the last event at Brands Hatch really showed consistency because you were hardly out of the top 10. What does it feel like to do that? And are you happy with the progress you're making so far?
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Obviously, opportunities like this don't come very often for people like me, so it's an absolute pleasure. So far we've had a bit of a rough start to the season. I was expecting a lot more, maybe considering some past results, especially in sim stuff. Some of the people who I'm even racing against in this series who I've beaten in the past, but like I said, at this point, I'm just trying to keep the consistency up because obviously there's four races each meeting. It's a really long season, and half of the series is that top 10 reverse grid. So my aim sort of been to have race one between positions 7 and 10, so I can get a good reverse grid draw, which in two instances worked out well for me, having podiums, being able to get to that top end of the grid just through the reverse grid. But like I say, that's half the season, so it might mean that the people who finish high in race one, like for instance Dave Marshall, who seems to be doing an amazing job so far, he hasn't been able to maybe have some of the results in the second race, which is where I'm trying to capitalise. I'm sort of doing the opposite of everyone else.
Certainly, your pace has been there, and as I say, at some point over the season, even Dave Marshall is going to have a bad meeting, but Brands Hatch, you were really very consistent indeed. In terms of the overall championship, eighth position, I think, at the moment, but fifth on the sim races. And it looks to me, if we were plotting a graph of your results, you're going to go higher up. I don't want to put pressure on you for the remaining races, but it kind of looks that way. I imagine this is a prelude to other things that you want to do. A lot of racers that do sim racing are quite happy with that. But you have ambitions to get out on circuit, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I mean, I've been karting for probably 7 years this year. So I've started to take a bit of a step away from it when it came to my studying GCSEs, and now I've gone on to get an actual job. So it's all sort of had to slow down a little bit. But the plan was to be back racing, but this time make the step into cars. I've sort of missed all the junior categories, but then I've come into this mini package doing this eSeries. I've been able to meet new people, like obviously series director Anthony Williams and some of the drivers like Max Coates, Ethan Hamilton, etc. And it's just a really good place for me to prove myself against some of these people that I'd want to be racing in. So the plan would be to race Cooper Pro. I'm looking at buying a car, possibly, maybe making that step up next year. But obviously the pandemic's not helping very much. I mean, it's really unfortunate the situation we're in at the minute, but we just got to push through it. We'll be back racing soon.
Everything certainly is changing. The economy, sport, the whole world, politics, everything changing with pandemic, as you rightly say. One of the things that I don't think will change is the appeal of the mini championship because you've got what Anthony has put together. It's a ladder, isn't it? I mean, I was fortunate enough to work on Mini Festival last year and get to see all of the mini paddock, whether it's Cooper Am, Cooper Pro, JCWs, and the other classes that they nurture and run superbly. So you can start off anywhere on that ladder, can't you? And I think next year, if next year's calendar is similar to this year's, if you do make it into Cooper Pro, fingers crossed for you. And if there are sponsors out there having a look, they'd be very silly to pass up an opportunity to work with you, not just as sponsors but as marketing as well, because you'll give them a great day out at the racetrack and a great experience. Um, but Cooper Pro, it's going to be, I think, part of the touring car package again next year. Certainly, it was what's planned this year. So terrific value for them if they get involved.
Yeah, that was one of the major selling points, I think, when we were looking towards this year. But obviously, my studying took over again. But it was that idea where they had two meetings on the touring car package. Obviously, you get TV exposure. The hospitality opportunities are incredible at touring car meetings, and like you say, the mini family is just incredible. It provides a real ladder, like you were saying. It's unlike when I was maybe looking at Clio's before. You sort of have to just jump straight into the Clio Cup. It was quite a big step for someone like myself, but with this, it's sort of like a ladder where I can start maybe in Cooper Am or Cooper Pro, and then work myself up, prove myself into maybe stepping into JCW, which obviously now is the primary feeder of the touring cars, which, like most races, is my absolute dream.
That would be absolutely mega to see you there. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the token package. I hope you can sort it out. So backpedaling a little bit, maybe background. How old are you at the moment?
18 years old.
So you're driving on the road. Have you actually had a go in a race car at all?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have a couple of testing opportunities. So I've tested initially did some Saxo testing, did the scholarship there and did quite well. Then I got a taster in a Fiesta Junior around Donington. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. And then towards just before pandemic hit, at the beginning of March, I was testing Ginetta GT5 around Donington, which was a mega experience. But I feel like I enjoy front wheel drive cars. I want to be more towards touring cars than a GT sort of career. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully when we get back racing, maybe getting some testing in a Cooper before maybe we go out and commit to a season.
Well, thanks very much for that. And just to sum up, give us your thoughts on the mini challenge eSeries before we say cheerio.
It's absolutely mega. I mean, having people like yourself on board to do the commentary is something really uncommon in the sim racing world. The quality of the series, like even when you look at the stewarding, the quality of the streams is just incredible. It's really bringing people like me who maybe are more now sim racers and real racers. We're bringing us back into the limelight a little bit, which is really nice. We're getting some really good attention at the minute.
That's really nice of you to say, and I've got to say I'm mightily impressed with the caliber of drivers we've got. You know, the real races and the sim races, absolutely incredible. And my one regret at the moment is that we can't all go in the bar at the end of a meeting. It's that's a real pain in the neck. But hopefully we'll have a get together. I'm sure Max and Anthony and Rich and the team will try and sort something like that out when we get back to some sort of normality. Ryan, I was asked to just do a quick chat with you. Thanks very much for answering my questions and coming online this morning. Good luck for the rest of the series, and we look forward to chatting to you on the podium, I'm sure, at many of the upcoming rounds.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the racing, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.